the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Why there won't be a flood of foreclosures coming to the housing market, that is our subject. With the rapid shift that's happening in the housing market this year, some people are raising concerns that they were destined for a repeat of the crash we saw in 2008. But in truth, there are many key differences between what's happening today and the bubble in the early 2000s. One of the reasons this is not like the last time is the number of foreclosures in the market is much lower now. Here's a look at why there won't be a wave of foreclosures flooding the market. Not as many homeowners are in trouble this time. After the last housing crash, over 9 million households lost their homes due to a foreclosure short sale or because they gave it back to the bank. This was in large part because of more relaxed lending standards, where people could take out mortgages they ultimately could not afford. Those lending practices led to a wave of distressed properties, which made their way into the market and caused home values to plummet. But today, revised lending standards have led to more qualified buyers. As a result, there are fewer homeowners who are behind on their mortgages. As Marina Walsh, Vice President of Industry Analysis at Mortgage Bankers Association says, quote, for the second quarter in a row, the mortgage delinquency rate fell to its lowest level since MBA's survey began in 1979, declining to 3.45%. Foreclosure starts and loans in the process of foreclosure also dropped in the third quarter to levels further below their historical averages. There have been foreclosures over the last 2 years. While you may have seen recent stories about the number of foreclosures rising today, context is important. During the pandemic, many homeowners were able to pause their mortgage payments using the forbearance program. The program gave homeowners facing difficulties extra time to get their finances in order and in many cases work out a plan with their lender. With that program, many were concerned it would result in a wave of foreclosures coming to the market. That fear did not materialize. Data from the New York Fed shows there are still fewer foreclosures happening today than ever before than before the pandemic. If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing a chart about foreclosures being up but near record lows. So yes, they have gone up since 2021 and 2020 when you couldn't foreclose. But 2019, last year of basically a normalized market, 278,000 foreclosures. So far this year for the third quarter, up through the third quarter of 2022, we've seen 88,000. So that's with 1 quarter to go, but it's still significant. We're going to be in the year less than half of where we were in the last normalized year. That means there are more foreclosures now compared to last year when foreclosures were paused. The number is still well below what the housing market has seen in a more typical year like 2017, 18, 19. Those are all about the same. And most importantly, the number we're seeing now is still far below the number we saw during the market crash. The big takeaway, don't let a headline in the news mislead you. While foreclosures are up year over year, historical context is essential to understanding the full picture. Most homeowners have more than enough equity to sell their homes. Many homeowners today have enough equity to sell their homes instead of facing foreclosure due to rapidly rising home prices over the last 2 years. The average homeowner has gained record amounts of equity in their home, and if they stayed in their homes even longer, they may have even more equity than they realize. Ksenia Potapov, economist at First American, says, quote, homeowners have very high levels of tappable home equity today, providing a cushion to withstand potential price declines, but also preventing housing distress from turning into a foreclosure. The result will likely be more of a foreclosure trickle than a tsunami, unquote. A recent report from Adam Data explains it by going even deeper into the numbers. Quote, only about 214,800 homeowners were facing possible foreclosure in the second quarter of 2022, or just 0.4% of the 58.2 million outstanding mortgages in the U.S. Of those facing foreclosure, 195,491% had at least some equity built up in their homes. Bottom line, if you see headlines about increasing number of foreclosures today, remember context is important. While it's true the number of foreclosures is higher now than it was last year, foreclosures are still well below pre-pandemic years. If you have questions, give me a call, 800-306-1490, 1-990-800-306-1990. If you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or borrow, can I count on you to introduce me? That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at by the area trusted professionals, real-time real estate segment, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit RSR Home Scout.